a busy week of iRacing this week. We're going to get into the Indy Racing World Series at Milwaukee. We had Wednesday Night Dash debut this week in the trucks for the first time since 2022. A lot to unpack there. We'll talk a little bit more about Texas, even though we went over that on our recap show this week. And Formula One's heading back to China. IndyCar's going to Long Beach. You got IMSA at Long Beach. We got a packed show and not a lot of time, so we'll get going. This is FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Flook.
I'm Eric Richardson.
And I've snapped my 3-week streak of no beer on this on the show, but here's my beer.
I got water in my new shaker.
Nice.
Took advantage of
Rogue Energy. Save
deal.
10% with promo code FR Racing online. Good stuff too. I got a shipment of Rogue come in the other couple of weeks ago.
So yeah, just got pink lemonade and the grape.
They used to sell this like extreme version of their mix, and I got it. They stopped selling it, and I can understand why. So I got when we first started with Rogue in 2021, I got the sample pack where they sent you like the little individual packets, and there was like 8 of them in there. So you got a little bit of everything. You got the regular energy, you got the hydration, and then it was called like Rogue Extreme or something. And I drank the Rogue Extreme one day, and I'm like, that was too much caffeine.
That was borderline like pre-workout.
Yeah, I was like, no, I haven't
They
felt this
actually
bad.
tossed in a couple sample packets. Got a couple black cherry and then a
Black
couple
cherry's
of
really good. The
tiger's blood.
blue raspberry is really good too.
That was the last tub I had.
A lot of good flavors.
Had
So,
that in strawberry kiwi.
yeah, save 10% at rogueenergy.com with FR Racing Online is your promo code. So, Rogue Energy, love it. Good stuff. It's on the back of the shirt. This is the old shirt. It's funny, half of these like partners aren't
Half
even
those
on
are gone
this.
now.
Yeah.
And that one's on the back.
Rogue's on the back, yeah.
I like
Yeah,
how we
yeah.
didn't even coordinate it, but both of us had Rogue Energy on the back of our trucks tonight.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I've been keeping Rogue on the truck. But anyway, so Chase Elliott snaps his like year and a half losing,
It's
winless
what, like
streak, not losing streak.
42
Yeah.
races, something like that.
That was the first time Hooters as a main sponsor went to victory lane since Alan Kulwicki's final win in
Yeah,
NASCAR.
it's been a while.
That's so wild to me that a Hooters car, because Chase Elliott's been running Hooters cars for a few years now.
Yeah, it's been around.
I'm trying to remember who's run the Hooters cars previously to before Chase, but I'm drawing a blank.
It was gone for a little bit.
It was gone for a while, yeah. The good old Hooters. My kid, they like collecting. They've gotten into die cast. They love collecting the die cast, and they'll play with them and run them on the carpet. And when we go to Phoenix, it's kind of become the tradition now that they come away with a die cast from the gift shop where we leave. Most of the time. Last time, I think one of my kids actually got a Kyle Larson shirt, which I was like, okay, shirt instead of a die cast. But anyway, we were sitting here the one day, and my kid goes, I want the owl car for Christmas. I'm like, that owl car? What are you talking about? And she points at the desk and points right at the Chase Elliott Hooters car here. I'm like, oh, the owl car, of course. I don't know about that, but whatever. Anyway, Indy Racing World Series. You had a good outing. I did not.
Yeah, led 85 laps, ended up on pole, but unfortunately ended
Started
the
third.
race in second.
I started third, and it was just downhill from there. I had I almost took out Josh Chinsky on like lap 2. My tires were not sticking as much as I thought they would have at that point, and I started sliding, and I got into his tire. I don't think I really damaged him, and I'm like apologizing. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. That was not what I was trying to do. And he's like, you're all good. And
Yeah,
then,
he
then
ended up
like
winning.
Yeah, he ended up winning. Well, what he had some damage that actually happened later, like after the caution, where and I don't remember who. I think I know, but I'm not going to say because I don't want to slander anybody. Somebody decided that I was running kind of a higher line as I was, I was burning tire faster, but in the short term, I was faster up on the higher line and making up ground. And so Josh was kind of in that middle lower. I'm in the higher. We're coming around one of the turns. I don't remember which turn it was, but then somebody decided they wanted to come down and tuck in and go 3 wide at the Milwaukee Mile and got into Josh. And I got into, I tried to avoid because I'm hugging the wall and I'm trying to avoid hitting him and hitting the wall at the same time. And we all ended up with some damage on a ill-advised move. And Josh took the strategy of pit right away, take the repair. He was a lap down, got his lap back on the alternate pit strategy. I was like, yeah, I'll wait for a caution. I'll pit on the caution.
No.
Never got it.
Yeah, and that actually was able to change up his race quite a bit. Instead of trying to fuel save and manage tires, he was able to run harder and faster and split the remaining laps. So instead of doing 70 laps, he was able
He
to
was just
shorten that up.
he was just flying out of that. So I mean that was a going a lap down early ended up being blessing in disguise for him, where I made the wrong call and it just backfired. And I I was a half second per lap slower than you guys because of the damage, and I was just like, there's got to be a caution coming. I mean, we had one on lap 6. We can't go another 135 laps without a caution, and we did. We stayed green the rest of the way. I have no idea how.
And it would have been fun to see if it had come
It was,
out
like
differently.
the one
Because
caution was a self spin. There was no wrecks last night. I was like, oh man, we're gonna have like crash of the week for like 6 months.
Ian
And
and I kind of got
we
mired
didn't.
in traffic and we couldn't get around. Then I'm we're battling trying to figure out how to get past, and then all of a sudden I'm like, we got P3 right behind us.
And then he went right on by.
Well, and just the way things went and the lines that drivers were taking, he was able to sneak past, and then he just took off. But traffic definitely played a factor in the results.
Oh yeah, for sure. So
Milwaukee's hard to pass.
it is. It's going to be very interesting. I mean, that kind of gave us a pretty good preview of what Indy is going to be like, and we only had what 15 cars, 14 cars last night.
I think it's actually 10.
Was it? No, it was that low, was it?
I think it was only 10.
We had some traffic jams with 10 cars. They're going to have like 26 on that track in a couple of months.
It'll be interesting to
We
see
had
how they
10.
race that.
You're right. Wow, I finished second to last. I thought we had like 13 or 14. I was feeling like, okay, ninth out of 14 is not bad. All right, ninth out of 10. Great.
Yeah, there's a 14-point gap between the top six, but it's opened up a little bit now.
Yeah, yeah. Josh and you, and then Ian's a little further back.
Ian caught up and flipped a spot, but Josh and I flipped spots now. I'm 3 points back. But he's on back-to-back wins heading to Road Atlanta, where I know he is very excited to race.
Yeah, yeah. I think him and Ian are gonna have a quite a battle next week at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, I need to survive Atlanta the best I can and
I'm just
then
here to
get
have some
after the
fun.
final three.
Have you noticed? Do you notice the propaganda? I'm full of propaganda tonight. You notice the new addition to the room behind me?
I see some Arizona content.
Yeah, I got the Final Four pennant on the door, and I don't know if I like it going up or maybe I want to shift it go down. I don't know. We'll mess with that. But yeah, so I'm not a fan of the Arizona Coyotes, and they are finished as a franchise probably for now, maybe forever. But I consider myself an Arizona Coyotes apologist, and they take a lot of crap as a franchise because they've been largely mismanaged and poorly run for the last 25 years. And the NHL put in owners into that franchise. They made some very bad strategic missteps moving to Glendale. That was a bad move. They couldn't stay in. People are, why didn't they stay in downtown Phoenix? Well, because they had an exemption because they can't fit a full size NHL rink in the Footprint Center where the Suns play. They never could, and the Suns didn't want them there anyway. So they took their taxpayer funded arena out at in Glendale, which is there's more population is filled out since they first moved out there, but it was kind of out there when they first moved there in like 2003, and it wasn't working. Your hockey demographic was over in Scottsdale. It was over in kind of the North Phoenix area. You look in the East Valley of Tempe, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa to some extent. Your hockey demographics in the East Valley, your arena's on the west side, and you have a owner who probably shouldn't have ever been approved to be, multiple owners that shouldn't have ever been approved, and one that I think filed for bankruptcy at one point too, which, um, but then COVID screwed things up. Then they banked all on Tempe, but it required voters approving a measure for them to take over the land, and they would get some tax credits to clean up a landfill, and that failed, and they didn't have a plan B lined up. And finally the league said, look, you are going to go somewhere else, which sounds like it's going to be Utah as of this recording. I think it's pretty safe to say it's going to be Utah as of this recording.
And that's what
But
they told the players, apparently.
yeah, and the Utah Jazz owner who's going to be buying basically they're going to sell the team to the NHL, and the NHL is going to sell it to this guy. And basically they told the Coyotes owner, look, you keep trying to build that stadium. You get that stadium built within 5 years. We're going to start the clock. You've got 5 years to get the stadium built. If you get it built, it will trigger an expansion franchise. The Arizona Coyotes will be back. So we might see the Coyotes in 3, 4, 5 years again as an expansion franchise.
Yeah,
Maybe
they'll end
not.
up with a much better team because of the expansion draft rules.
Yeah, I mean, look at Vegas. That worked out nicely. Seattle's had you look at expansion drafts previously, and for the most part, they've generally gone very poorly for those teams. It took them years, like the Tampa Bay Rays were horrible until about 2007, 2000, like 10 years. I mean, granted, the Diamondbacks won a World Series like 3 or 4 years into their existence.
And Marlins did pretty good too.
Yeah, Marlins
They
got
did it
theirs in
twice. Buy a team, sell a
97.
team.
But yeah, you look at the NBA with expansion franchises. The Vancouver Grizzlies, that they didn't even last. They moved to Memphis. But anyway, so I am a Coyotes now. Like I went from Coyotes apologist to I'm now just a full hockey propagandist in Arizona. It can work. The arena needs to be in the right place. And I don't know if the current owner, Alex Murillo, who owns a bunch of casinos and other things, if he's the right guy or not. A lot of people are bagging on him over this, but I don't think he really had a choice here. I think the league kind of strong armed him into this move, and maybe some things were mismanaged. Obviously, not having a plan B after Tempe was a mistake. But that would have been a perfect location. Anyway, that was way off topic.
Minus the Avalanche, who I have to be biased towards. The Coyotes do have one of my favorite logos, and it's on the Arizona on your door. I
Yes,
do like that one,
yes, I got.
especially on the dark jersey.
Yeah, I went and bought a bunch of stuff because who knows how long it'll be available. But we got got a
Yep.
bunch of these stickers here. But yeah, and it's a sick jersey too. It would be awful if that jersey goes the way of the Hartford Whalers and never.
You might need to
Well,
pick one up here real quick.
yeah. Have you seen what a hockey jersey costs nowadays?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
ridiculous.
I remember I bought a Reebok jersey years ago, and even with the name and number on it, I think it was still only like $150. Now it's like I want to say it was like 249 for the Adidas ones and like
Granted, it
169.
was Fanatics brand. I got a Vegas one for it's like $40, but it's because Fleury got traded.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'll buy that on the cheap.
I think I'm just gonna grab a blank one. That way I can continue to be the Coyotes propagandist. I will not rest until the Coyotes are back in Arizona in one form or another.
Well, maybe if our racing takes off, we can be the ones to bring hockey back to Arizona.
We're gonna bring hockey back to Arizona someday.
Aren't you involved in racing? Yeah, we do
Hey,
both.
you know what? If the Utah Jazz owner can own a basketball team in Salt Lake City and somehow convince the NHL that Salt Lake City is a viable hockey market, it's not. We can
I'll
we can bring
admit it.
hockey back to Arizona.
I'll eat my words if it's successful. So I did pull it up about the Hooters history. They
Yes,
were in NASCAR until 2003. Then they sponsored Greg Biffle in the 2016 Southern 500.
I
Then it
vaguely remember that.
came back with Hendrick and Chase Elliott in 2017, 2019, and kind of hit and miss races.
My question is, who did they sponsor in the late '90s, early 2000s? Because it was like Alan Kowicki and then nothing.
I don't see it here. They didn't do many. It's just a every once in a while type thing.
1993 was a rough year for NASCAR. They lost Alan
Yes.
Kowicki in April of that year, and then Davey Allison died in a helicopter crash in July of that year. I remember I remember seeing that on the news, him dying in the helicopter crash. I mean, you look at the 80s and 90s, they lost Tim Richmond in 1989. Although, I mean, Kowicki was a plane crash.
He's
It,
actually only 39 years old.
who,
Wiki.
yeah, Tim Richmond was 34. He died of complication from HIV/AIDS. I don't know. I feel like the J.D. McDuffie died in 91 at Watkins Glen. In 1994, there were 2 deaths at the Daytona 500. Well, practice for the Daytona 500.
Oh, wow.
Neil Bonnet and Rodney Orr, February 11th and February 14th at practice. And then we know Kenny Irwin in 2000, New Hampshire. And obviously Dale Sr. at Daytona in 2001.
On Adam Petty was at New Hampshire.
Yes, it was. I have to say, some of the old school, like early days of NASCAR, some of these amazing names. Like, I mean, this is the fatality list. I mean, it's awful that they're on here, but you had Fireball Roberts and Burren Skeen, Friday Hassler. I mean, these are racing names right there. Oh man. Anyway, God, I watched a fatality of a ARCA crash at Talladega some years ago. Oof. I don't remember what the guy's name was, but it was rough. The accident. I don't know if the accident was what killed him, but um, he got hit. He hit the wall. Car turned, and then a car just plowed right into the side of him. If he wasn't dead from the initial crash, that was bad. Anyway, um, yeah, Chase Elliott, winner, Texas, good racing weekend. IndyCar is going to Long Beach this weekend. David Malukas is still not back. Um, this is bad for him.
Got into a new ride and hasn't been able to drive yet.
Yeah, and though that injury, I mean, that says something right there, how bad his injury was, that his rehab is still holding him out now. Um, People are concerned that, like, could he lose his ride even before he steps foot in it? That would
I
suck.
think
I mean, he
he's
worked.
gonna have pretty short time frame to get in and prove it.
He's got to, yeah, he's got to get in and do very well very quickly, or yeah, he will be back at Dale Coyne next year.
At least the good thing, there's only been one race.
Tech, yes, one race that thermal club doesn't count.
Yeah, thermal doesn't count.
Actually, somebody commented on our we don't really, I mean, I didn't really bag on the thermal club, but somebody's like, yeah, I live out here and I can just hear the cars off in the distance right now. I'm like, that's cool.
That's awesome. I wish I lived close enough to a track. It was fun here in the Speedway back in Kokomo.
Yeah, oh yeah. So many Saturday nights you'd go outside and you hear the World of Outlaws or something like that off in the distance.
You'd hear it really loud for about a minute or two, and then it'd go quiet. But yep,
Yeah,
another
oh yeah, I
caution.
remember. I vividly remember many Saturday nights like that over the years. And yeah. Yeah, it's funny when I hear Phoenix Raceway and you're walking in and you hear the cars on track, and I'll hear off in the distance somebody will be driving like their Camaro like flying down the road, and I'm like, oh, it's just like Phoenix Raceway. Says some jerk speeding, going 20 miles over the speed limit down the main road outside of my neighborhood.
When I hear cars like that or see them, like, oh, they're cool.
Good job, dude.
Hey, you're cool. I really like when they have cars or motorcycles or trucks like that, and you go through like a underpass or whatever, like a little tunnel, and then they just start revving their engine and
Oh
see how
yeah, right.
loud they can get them. Like, really?
You
You're
just hear that
you're
that
not looking cool,
woo.
you're annoying.
Oh man. So Wednesday Night Dash,
Yeah, it
it's really
kicked
taken
off.
off. That really took off.
We're up
This
to
is season 9.
22 drivers now.
Season 9. Yeah, we've had our fair share of missteps operating this league over the last few years, but we have reached season 9. We were back in the trucks for the first time since summer of 2022. And our debut race had 19 drivers in it, with 3 also, committed to the league, but were unable to attend for various reasons tonight. But we have a 22-person league all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And Trevor Kratzer took over as in the broadcast booth, and his buddy William actually did color for the event tonight. So we had a 2-person booth, new broadcast team,
Yeah, I'm
9
excited to go
rookies.
back and watch.
Yeah, 9 rookies, and yeah, overall, yeah, there were a couple little things here and there, but it it was a good strategic decision to have a big wide track like Pocono week 1. I could see some, there's definitely a variety of experience in some of the drivers, and there were some ill-advised moves that basically went, no big deal because Pocono is a very wide track.
So
And
you're saying it was good we didn't do the Milwaukee double?
yeah. Or where are we going? New Hampshire later this year?
Yeah.
That one concerns me a little bit.
Gateway might get interesting too.
Gateway will get interesting. Sonoma, that's going to be, oh boy, Sonoma. Yeah, I mean, it's just really excited. I kept texting you today, like, we got some last minute drivers coming in. Like, we got another one. We got another one.
Another.
We got another one. Well, let's just run through this list right here. So we have 9 rookies this season, and we have 13 veterans returning, including Dylan Brands, me, Chris Fuge, Colton Gardner. Hunter Hughes has stepped away from the booth, back in the truck, and won the race. So good for him. Jax Malin, who participated part-time. He was not here tonight, but he'll be back for the rest of the season. our good friend Brian McKinney, who's been around with us for a couple of years now, John Miles, Ian Miller, Bill Mulfield is coming back. He was out of town this week, but he will be back. Justin Nieves. God, I've known the guy for like 3 years now, and I still struggle to say his name. Sorry, Justin, but good to have him back. You and Lane Snow. Basically, the bulk of the crew came back. We had a couple people drop out for various scheduling reasons, and we had Toby Wedgwood, who co-founded the Highline Racing League with Kendall Kerr, our original announcer. Kendall actually spotted for Toby tonight, which is really cool. So
Yeah,
it's always nice to have Kendall back involved in the league in some form or another.
it's fun. Even the some of the original racers and announcers, they still come out and run and join in on various things.
Yeah, we've had some competition committee. They stick around. I mean, we've built a nice little community, and you get nervous when you introduce that many new people at once, and it's just like, how's this going to mesh with the current group? But one race down, so far so good. So I'm thrilled. Yeah, I would just shout out some of the new people. We have Dawson Buchanan, Nick Cipriani, Jeremy Clemens, Corbin Cox, Jeremiah Lockwood, Richard Shaw, which I think he goes by Ricky, and Vinny Silva, and as I mentioned, Toby Wedgwood and Nick Warboy. 9
Yeah,
rookie
great to have
drivers.
them out.
We were fielding fields of 10 or 11 cars last season total, and this season we have 9 rookies.
A couple of fun leagues going. Our Indy was a little slim at 10, but we've been averaging 15 racers there. It was great to see 19 of them out tonight.
Well, we get that up to 20. We've got 22 at Wednesday Night Dash. We're going to do, we've got these community GT races that we're doing once a month on Saturdays, which we found out we have to reschedule the May one.
I may still just keep it there, even if I don't run it.
So, do we decide on a track yet for that one?
I'm actually a ton of Nürburgring.
Oh, yeah, you're going to schedule that and then ditch us that weekend. Good call.
Yep. I'm smart. I know what to do.
Yeah, when to bail out, just like you bailed on the Roval last season.
Yep. Well, we intentionally scheduled that because I kind of knew what was coming. Yeah, I don't want to run that.
Yeah. I
I don't know. I
actually
would
had
have rather run the Roval than Sonoma the way testing is going.
I actually had a lot of fun on the Roval last season. That place gets a pretty tough reputation, but I had a lot of fun there. It sucked, but I didn't destroy myself in the heartburn turn, so that was a. But yeah, we got a lot of
Speaking
good
of
stuff
that
coming up
stuff,
on Wednesday Night Dash this year,
we're gonna have to start looking at the next season of Indy.
and we got to start tentatively working on an ARCA schedule too. Man, can you imagine our community race that we have at the end of the year?
That could be a lot of fun.
We could have like 40 people in it. We might
Nail
have to go.
figure eight.
Oh, I'm thinking we might have to go to Le Mans and do a NASCAR at Le Mans just to space everybody out enough.
Oh, let's bring us all closer.
Oh man. Anyway, but yeah, first week down, our performance wasn't. What do you had? What were you? 12th, 11th?
I ended up 11th. I was making a pass and I caught the wall, so I had no steering. My steering wheel was like 10 degrees off driving straight.
I was about to say, I thought I pinched you at one point. I was like, oh, I thought I gave you enough room, and I see
Oh,
it.
no, I was trying to get space because I knew I was going slow and just
I,
riding along.
I
And
saw you in my mirror bounce off the wall after I went by. I'm like, oh, I thought I gave him enough room. But,
yeah, I had no steering.
eesh.
So kind of just limped along for 16 laps to get to the caution.
You stayed on the lead lap though, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that worked.
Luckily, we're at Pocono.
Yeah, that worked out okay. Yeah, Toby actually got home late and he got loaded into the session as they were coming around for the green flag. So he started from the pits and worked his way. I think he worked himself into a top 10.
Yeah, he was ahead of me. He was like eighth or something.
That was yeah, so
I actually had a really good pit stop and I came out in 10th.
you did. You made up like 5 spots in the pits somehow.
I think a lot of it, people go way under the speed limit, and I do the speed limit.
Do you turn a limiter on? Or do
I
you
had a
just
limiter.
yeah, I don't I don't quite have it figured out where, like, there's points where you drive through people and you don't make contact, like there's, the ghost. But then there's other points where you can. I haven't figured out where that cutoff is. Like, is it in your pit box? Is that it?
I don't remember exactly. There's a little bit of give and take on pit road too, as you're coming in and exiting.
How's this for parity? Of the top 10 this week, 5 series veterans, 5 rookies.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Toby's been running this for a long time.
And he's a veteran.
He's a rookie by title only, but yeah,
Yes.
he knows what he's doing. But yeah, it's just we got Atlanta next week. We have a 21, 22 car field for Daytona under the lights here in a couple of weeks.
That's gonna be if we have a field that big, that's gonna be intense.
Oh, that is gonna be so intense. And there's something about the sound of like Talladega and Daytona where you can just put the camera on close and you just hear all the cars go by and just no other audio except the as everybody goes
And
by.
we may need a caution on a hotkey for Daytona.
I keep the caution on the hotkey anyway. So, uh, yeah,
Just in case we
super
have a big one that wipes out
super speedway cautions.
half the field. But it'll be fun to see, get some races under our belts and see how everybody works together there.
I was thinking to myself, I struggle at tracks like Pocono and Michigan, and we put Pocono and Michigan into this season.
I am not good at Pocono in anything. Next gen, I couldn't figure out. Any cars, I'm can't figure out.
Turn 2 is so weird there. It's like a half turn. I was trying to
I
watch
think
what
that's where I
everyone
have to
else
be
was
losing
doing.
speed.
And it's like there's just this really fine line with turn 2 and the line you follow that you either lose a bunch of speed going through there, but if you time it just right, you can just fly right through that turn and pick up. Or if you overdo it, you fly right through the turn right into the wall.
Yep.
So it's a very, very fine line that I
All
just
three of those turns, with the way it's set up, if you don't nail the turn, you are losing speed on the stretches.
yeah, it is such a momentum based track that I mean I made a couple of good passes tonight out of turn 3. And having that inside line going into turn 1, I had a couple of cases where we were going too wide down the front stretch. We get to turn 1, I hold it, I make it stick on the low line through turn 1, and you make that person go up high for through, and you just clear right by. It was
Denny Hamlin move.
yeah, and I didn't have to pinch them either. That was the nice part. But it was, they have to back off or they will end up in the wall. And
At least they didn't do like Denny and give them 7/8 of a lane.
yeah, that was better move there. We
I'm looking forward to next week though. Get to Atlanta.
part of me is like, should we have scheduled New Atlanta instead? Nah.
I like the old one because you actually have to drive it.
I don't know. I just the chaos of a super speedway or something that drives like a super speedway. I feel so frazzled once I'm done. Unless I wreck. Then after that, I'm like, there goes that. But it's like if you're holding on till the very end and you're coming around and you take that white flag and you're still clean and you're just like, oh no, here we go. And I get across the finish line and I am just so like sweaty, frazzled, shaking when I cross that start finish line because it's just like it's nerves of steel right there. It's you have that many cars traveling that speed packed that close together. Somebody makes even if it's not you making the mistake, somebody else makes a mistake. Bye bye field.
I think we'll see a good race with the old one. There's just enough driving, but you're going to need to be in a draft. And there will be multiple lanes.
That's what screwed me up today is I got separated from a pack. And once you're separated, you're screwed. You're a half second a lap off of everybody. once I got back in with a pack, I was running even, but I was already like 10 seconds behind. It just that was the thing tonight. There wasn't a lot of working together, but I mean everybody was feeling themselves out with the new drivers and seeing how everybody was going to run, and that's all right. Everybody will get to know each other soon, and very, very thrilled with how the first week turned out. So it seems like we got a really good group of guys that we're racing with.
Yeah, it should be fun.
On that note, oh yeah, Formula One, they're gonna go to China for the first time since 2019.
Max gonna win again.
I will stay. It starts at midnight Pacific time, so I'll be awake for the start, just so I can, you got that build up, you got the music, you got the formation lab, the anticipation, the driver sitting in with the camera close up, they still have the visor up and get the build up, and then it's like lights out and away we go, and Max has a 10-second lead. All right, good night.
Yeah, might wake up, catch the start.
Most
We'll see what
interesting part of a
happens.
Formula One race right now.
Pretty much.
Let's see who ends up in the first lap wreck, and then yep, I'll go to bed at like
Yeah, after
12:30.
about lap 3, there's not much drama for the podium.
Yeah, I mean, you get the Kick Sauber team having 50-second pit stops. Do you see the stat that the Kick Sauber team as a team so far, after what have they run, 3 or 4 races?
4.
They have already exceeded Carlos Sainz's total pit stop time for 2023.
Jeez. They have all sorts of problems.
I don't know. That's just, but you know what? Andretti would not be much of an addition to the field. When you got that,
Yeah, they won't be competitive or bring anything.
I mean, at this point, all the memes about Williams having to run a tandem car and have both drivers in the same car might actually come true. Things keep up. I mean, it's rough. Haas has been slightly better than last year. Daniel Ricciardo's on the verge of getting himself fired.
I have a hard time believing that Andretti would be worse than Kick, Williams, and
Alpine.
Alpine.
Alpine driving those bulldozers.
I think they'd even be competing in better than the junior bulls.
It's funny. There was this clip of I think it was Esteban Ocon, and his strategist is telling him push here, push. And he goes, I am pushing.
Yeah, I was watching. I was there laughing. I think Andretti would start out top 5 on the grid.
Yeah, and it's funny too, like when with Alpine, that hit really close to home, because I feel like I'll be at some of these league races, and the spotter will come on and go, push here, push, push. We can catch this guy. I'm like, I'm pushing. I don't know what you want me to do beyond this.
Drive harder and put it in the wall.
One of these days, I need to get out to Long Beach. I want to see that. I think that would be a lot of fun to go to. That's with we've got IMSA mixed in there. I think that'd be an amazing weekend.
Yeah, I want to check out IMSA at Indy at some point. Did just get tickets for the Grand Prix, so I'll be doing the May double.
They're gonna do the is it GMR Grand Prix? Is that what it's still called this year?
It's Sancio.
Sancio. Okay. I don't know what they do. I've heard of them. They've sponsored stuff, but I have no idea.
Yeah, we'll check that out. Be at the track for the day before during qualifiers and some of the USF and Indy Next stuff.
And then you're gonna try to see Kyle Larson at Kokomo Speedway.
Yep. Need to
That's gonna be a
submit
fun
the
week.
media credential and see if I can get that.
We'll need to make you a media badge that you can wear to look official. I I still have it around here somewhere. Yeah, I'll find it later. But yeah, I made a Stadium Scene TV badge for myself a few years ago because I was trying to get press credentials to something and they didn't accept me. But
Yeah, who knows? It'd be funny if they come back and like, yeah, sure, we'll do it.
it's very interesting that like there the attitude of some sports and some clubs, you come in here and say, I'm the SB Nation blogger for blah, blah, blah. Some clubs are like, cool, here's your press pass. And there are other teams that will go nameless, but I know if there's one kind of higher profile team that involves uh, a ball that you kick. So I'm going to say that has a like no blogger, no podcaster policy for media credentials. So like the I've heard stories of the SB Nation and things like that trying to get media credentials, and they're like, nope, you are not a real media source. Okay.
People get a lot of their media now with that source and anywhere
Right,
else.
exactly. It's like, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of, all those seats that you had filled by newspapers years ago, those aren't getting used anymore. You got to fill those press seats somehow.
Actually, funny story. I found out I was featured in the Kokomo Tribune.
No kidding. For your new job?
Yep.
How did they find out about that?
Yeah, it got me. Somebody must have told him, or who knows.
I was about to say, was your parents tipped them off?
I don't know. I guess they were either looking at it online or somebody told them, and they sent me a note like, "Hey, you're in the paper today." What?
We need to be in that. We should be they should cover us. Like what we're doing here. I think that would be worth an effort to get a reporter to call us.
Yeah, maybe look into that.
Get
Two
featured in the
Kokomo
hometown
grads are
paper.
doing this.
I mean, we're not front page news by any means, but put us on a page 2 or page 3 or something.
Yeah, it'd be fun to look into.
Or we can call the call the high school, get the school newspaper to interview us. You know what I found recently? I don't have it handy, but I found in the they gave you that hard copy of the school newspaper at the end of the year, where they took every copy of the newspaper and then they put it in like a hard bound book for you. Did you get one of those?
I think I do. I have no idea where it
I
is.
I, I got one in my senior year. I didn't get one junior year, but I got one my senior year. And I was looking through it recently, and there was one where I was featured on the front page with, you remember Chris?
Mhm.
You got Chris Gervin.
Yeah.
So Chris and I were kind of like, the three of us. Remember, we were back there in the room all the time. You were doing what, photography? But
Yeah, and
occasionally,
since I knew people, I should never have gotten into that position. But hey,
but so I remember Mr. Snyder said, "Hey, we're doing a story about cheating on homework, and we need to take a picture and use it for the story." So there's a photo I found in there that was on like the bottom of the front page. And it was a story about like a cheating epidemic in school, in high schools. And here's a picture of like Chris is sitting next to me at a desk in Snyder's classroom, and I'm sitting there and I'm working. And I forget who's cheating off of who, but one of us is like writing and the other one's like, doing one of those. This horribly staged photo, and they like use that. I'm like, oh great. My legacy in the school newspaper is an article about cheating on tests. Awesome.
yeah, it works.
But then there was also the photo of the yearbook from the paint store. Remember that? Let's say that.
That's fun. I wanted nothing to do with putting the paper together like every month or week or however often it came out. But I asked if I could do the senior sports, and I did it. And the teacher in charge is like, "You should have done this all year." I'm like, "No,
No.
no,
The the best part,
one time only."
the photo is hilarious. If you find the copy of the yearbook, we're hawking paint in the
Yeah, it's
photo.
Pokemon Glass Shop from my
Yeah,
mom.
Kokomo glass and paint, and we're whole, it was Porter paints, I remember. And in the photo, we're all wearing like, like the flat build, like, snapback.
Oh, I know where that yearbook is. I can go
Yeah,
straight to it.
yeah, we got like the Porter paint hats on, and I'm holding like a paint roller. I'm like, yeah. I was sort of like holding cans of paint and paint roll.
But I still have a copy of it somewhere of
Yeah,
the blue and red
it's the blue
that
and red,
we made.
the parody newspaper.
Yes. And I still have pictures of a
A certain trashed vehicle.
car wrapped in saran wrap and caution tape and
God.
shaving cream in the parking lot of a Sears.
What's Sears?
What is that place anymore?
It's I think it's a PetSmart now. Anyway, frracingonline.com. Back for Road Atlanta Tuesday night. Atlanta. Oh wow, it's Atlanta week.
It's the Atlanta Double.
It's an Atlanta
Wow.
double. Road Atlanta on Tuesday night and Atlanta. Wow, I was not intended. It just for the reschedule. I just happened to work out that way. Atlanta week.
It
Wow.
is. That's funny. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So next week is Atlanta week. Indy Racing World Series Road Atlanta Wednesday night dash at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The bold configuration.
Yeah, 4 races to go in Indy, 3-point championship spread.
And that's a brutal schedule to end the year.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be Road Atlanta right there. It should have already been done.
I mean, we got Iowa mixed in there. We've got Texas. Yeah, Road Atlanta, Iowa, Texas, Vegas.
Not gonna lie, I was looking forward to the Milwaukee, Iowa, Texas, Vegas Final Four because I knew I could drive well on those 4 tracks.
Now you got Road Atlanta to worry
I
about.
was not planning on Road Atlanta in there. I was waiting for a week off.
But yeah, it's gonna be something. So
Busy.
frracingonline.com. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. Take care.